It's time for another beer, rum, and roll rock shot. This time, Jamie Landry and I are celebrating the 40th anniversary of Van Halen's sixth studio album, 1984. Released on January 9th, 1984, it was the last studio album to feature all four original members. It was also the last with lead singer David Lee Roth, who left the band in 1985, until 2012's A Different Kind of Truth. It reached number 2 on the Billboard Top 200 and remained there for 5 weeks. Keeping them off the top spot, Michael Jackson's Thriller, which ironically featured an Eddie Van Halen guitar solo on Beat It. 1984 produced 4 singles, the top 20 hits Panama, I'll Wait, Hot for Teacher, and Van Halen's only number 1 single, Jump. In 1999, the album was certified diamond by the Recording Industry Association of America for sales of over 10 million in the US alone, and it will go on to sell over 15 million worldwide. The band consisted of Alex Van Halen, drums, David Lee Roth, vocals, Edward Van Halen, guitars, keyboards, and background vocals, and Michael Anthony, bass guitar and background vocals. All right, before we get started, I would like to officially welcome Jamie Landry to our growing list of beer, rum, and rock and roll co-hosts. Happy to have you on, man.
Yay!
Woo! Hey. And unlike myself, Jamie actually plays the guitar in actual bands on actual stages in Calgary. I'm just a wannabe. These are just art on my walls, you see.
You don't actually play?
I do a little bit, but nothing like you guys.
Okay.
Shit. Yeah. I just hack around in my basement. And
I hack around in my room. So.
There you go. Okay, man. Well, you're not drinking, but I am. I'm going to have the Iron Maiden 666. So what I got going.
I am drinking, but it's just
Oh, you got some Monster going. Cheers. That works. All right, man. I got the EVH shirt, as you can see. I even got the necklace, Jamie. Check that shit out.
Oh, that's awesome.
You like that?
That's cool.
I'm blinged right out. Okay, man, let's do this. So now you're almost 10 years younger than me. So I'm curious to hear you talk about like when this album came into your life and what impact it had on you, man.
The funny thing for me is when I first heard Van Halen, I want to say 10 or 11 years old. And I'm talking before 1984. I know that's what we're talking about, but to back it up just a little bit, I didn't get it when I first heard it. I wasn't playing guitar yet, so I didn't understand. And to me, it was like, if it's not Motley Crue, it's shit. Because that's what I was into back then.
Nice.
But then when I started playing guitar and I started actually really listening to Van Halen, it completely fucking blew me away and changed my life. And one of those songs that did it was Panama, for sure. Because right around that time, I started playing guitar, probably like 6 months after that stuff hit all the video channels. And yeah, it had a major impact on me as a guitar player, 100%. Once I learned that, hey, Eddie was so good at what he did, not just solos, but his rhythm playing, his tone, his everything. It's the full package, right?
Right, absolutely. That's interesting. So your gateway was this album.
This is probably the one that really started me liking Van Halen and getting into guitar playing. And what it was is that I sat down and learned how to play Panama. And once I learned that, I was like, this is so cool. I need to learn every Van Halen song ever, right? It's the one that got me into them for sure.
Cool. Man, that had to be challenging to learn all this shit.
Yeah, it is. And especially as a young kid, when you're first starting out, you're trying to play way ahead of your capabilities at the time.
Right.
which I mean, we all still do that anyway,
Sure.
But even more limited as a kid when you're first learning, and then to sit there and try and rip off the Van Halen Panama riffs was, it took me a while.
Yeah, I bet.
Long time.
Well, being a little bit older than you, Jamie, I was a massive Van Halen fan by this time. Like, they could do no fucking wrong. So I bought this bad boy immediately. There it is. Look at that. Cool cover, hey?
Very cool.
Here's a little fun fact for you. In the UK, they actually blurred out the cigarette in his hand and the cigarettes in front. Like, can you imagine?
Because that's going to stop you from smoking, right?
Exactly. That'll do it. Man, but I do remember dropping the needle on this thing. And those first notes of that instrumental in 1984 leading into Jump and thinking, hey, where's the fucking guitar? Like, what's happening? Like, I was concerned. I wasn't digging it at all, really. I mean, Jump is just too poppy, and sure, the guitar solo is great, but I was worried about where this direction of this band was going because they were one of my favorite bands at that time. Well, as it turned out, there's lots to like on it. There's lots of hard rock and shit on it, so I was happy.
Definitely.
Something else I want to mention before we pick our tracks is I was going to Sate at the time, right when this came out. Well, in the student lounge there, they had one of those big ass satellite dishes. Remember those things?
The ridiculously sized satellite dishes, yeah.
G4, that kind of shit. Yeah. Anyway, long story longer, they were piping in MTV into the student lounge. I'd never seen it before.
Nice.
Well, I was fucking hooked, dude. Like, I'm cutting class just to watch MTV because you had Panama, Hot for Teacher, Jump, all this shit in high rotation, right? I could not get enough. I was suffering through, Cyndi Lauper and all these acts to get to the Van Halen, right? I just fucking loved it. It was awesome. I especially love Panama, that video, because you could see the new live staging they had going on, right? Like that was cool.
That part was cool.
Yeah.
And I really liked the fact that it showed them kind of fucking around a bit.
Yeah.
While they were, you know what I mean? It's like, hey, these guys do have fun, right?
Oh, you think? Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you if you saw them. You were too young, weren't you?
The first time I saw them was with Sammy Hagar. So
right.
I hadn't moved to Calgary yet. So for me, it wasn't an option to see them.
Like I saw this tour and it was, oh my God, it was fucking mind blowing, needless to say. Like there's bootleg stuff. There's a show from Montreal that's on YouTube. It's watchable, barely. See,
yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. Yeah. You get the idea. They open with Unchained and Roth comes off the kit. Like it was unreal, dude. Like still one of the best shows I've ever seen for sure.
I wish I saw it.
Oh, I bet you did. Yeah. Well, I saw Fair Warning was my first concert, hey?
Oh,
I know. I know. Okay, a couple fun facts before we dive into this music. It was produced by Ted Templeman, engineered by Don Landy at Eddie's new 5150 studio. So that's different. Normally they're, a couple weeks in Sunset Sound or something. They had a little more time. They took their time on this one. All tracks are credited to all four members except I'll Wait, which eventually included a credit to Michael McDonald. Yes, that Michael McDonald.
That's right. Yes, that's right.
He had to fight for it, but he got it. 9 tracks, clocking in at a short and sweet 33:22, including that opening I mentioned, which is a minute 7 or whatever. So really only 8 songs. Okay, dude, let's pick our top 3. You're the guest. Do you want to go first? Do you want to go second? I'll leave it up to you.
It's your show. You decide.
You go. Go for it.
All right. I will say, without even having to think about it, my first pick is Panama.
Well, you kind of touched on why Panama was your favorite, but let's elaborate, man. What makes that song so fucking great?
The intro, to be honest, that intro, just, when you hear that, what it is. And it's funny because being a guitar player, if you actually sit down and learn it, the second time it comes around, he's not right on the beat. And that's why it sounds the way that it does. It's funny, when I started playing this song live in bands, somebody that I played with stopped me one day and went, "You're playing it wrong." And I went, "No, I'm not." But then when he explained that to me, it was quite a lesson, and my mind was blown. I was like, "Oh shit, you're right. I am playing it wrong," right?
Cool.
That for sure sticks out for me in that song.
Right on. Okay, dude, my first pick. I never get tired of this track, man. It just fucking rocks. I'm going Hot for Teacher for my first. I mean, how cool are those lyrics? I think of all the education that I miss, but then my homework is never quite like this. Awesome. Here's what's cool about it, too. It's got that iconic Alex Van Halen double bass intro that lasts for 30 seconds. Like, who does that on a hit, right? And then Ed comes in, tapping like a fucking madman, and then that main riff starts and it's fucking on. I love it, man. And I also love the way it switches on a dime to just Ed finger picking and then Roth talking those lyrics over that, right? It's cool. And then it just switches back and forth between those two feels. It's awesome.
a second, man. What do you think the teacher's gonna look like this year?
If I would have picked 4, that one would be it.
That's your honorable mention. Perfect.
That's my honorable mention.
Yeah, I mean, come on. And this is going to go without saying with this. Eddie's guitar solo is off the fucking charts great on this one too, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Tell me what makes it so great, Jamie. You're the player.
Again, it's just that the way he plays. I mean, him and his brother. If you listen to that guitar solo, they're so in sync with each other. And if you sit down and try and play it like that, you can't. There's no way you can. I can't do it. I mean, I can do it sorta, but not. You know what I mean? Like he was Eddie. He's the king.
He's the king
of everything.
You're absolutely right about him and his brother. Just lock in, hey? Like there's something going on there that you cannot replicate. Totally.
I've got it bad, so bad. I'm like the teacher.
Yeah, this song just showcases everything they do great in under 5 minutes, like you said.
It does, yeah.
The drums, the riff, the solo, the lyrics. I mean, Roth, he's not the greatest singer in the world. Who gives a shit? I think he's underrated. He always gives provides that super fun vibe. It's one of their best songs. And I have to mention the music video, of course.
Oh, yes.
It's directed by Diamond Dave and his buddy Pete and Jealous.
Sit down, Waldo.
Exactly. Okay, here's some trivia for you. Who does the voice of Waldo?
I've read so many different things on this. I remember as a kid reading that it was Vince Neil.
No.
But it's not him, and I can't remember exactly who it is.
It's Phil Hartman from SNL.
Ah, there
you go. Yeah. And what a blast this thing is, right? And I love you get the little mini kid versions of all 4 members. Yeah. I mean, that was cool. Can you imagine as a grown-up now, hey, that was me in that video? Like, how cool would that be? Holy shit.
And don't forget all the chicks in bikinis and stuff.
I was getting to that. You could never do this today. You could never make this video. You get the teachers whipping their dresses off and they got bikinis underneath. Come on. Oh, man. And then what's hilarious, as you well know, and everybody knows, but they intercut it with the boys dressed in tuxedos dancing underneath that disco ball, grabbing their crotches and shit. It's so great, man. And then, of course, it closes with the kids growing up into Alex, the gynecologist, and Michael, the sumo wrestler, Eddie, the psych patient, and of course, the game show host is David Lee Roth,
which he should have been a game show host, He probably still could be.
He totally should have. He wouldn't let anybody else talk, though, would be the problem.
Oh, my God!
Okay, I don't know if you know this. You probably do because you're a VH nerd like I am. At the very end, Dave says, "Oh my God," and there's the vamp, right, at the end. That's from a studio demo called Voodoo Queen. It's on YouTube. Check it out. What else have I got here? Eddie used the 1958 Gibson Flying V on this song, not this guitar, which you might think he does. That's kind of cool.
I didn't know that.
There you go. You're learning shit, JV. You know this, I bet. That first few seconds of Alex's drum intro is Eddie's Lamborghini idling for a few beats. I knew that. Yeah. That's kind of cool, hey?
That's pretty cool, yeah.
And speaking of drums, I was shocked to read this, that all the drums on this album are Simmons drums, hey? They're not real drums, all of it. There's no real drums on this album.
That's nuts.
There you go. Okay, I've talked enough about that. Give me your second pick.
My second pick is Drop Dead Legs. How do you not love this song from that album? It's amazing for me. Drop D tuning.
Right.
It doesn't sound any bigger and cooler than that, right?
That's a good one. Yeah, it's got a different groove for them, man. It provides some variety on the album, right? It's not full tilt.
Drop dead legs, pretty smile.
I love the guitar outro solo so much in it because, when I hear it, I feel like they just hit record and Eddie sat there fucking around going, here, look at this. Ha ha ha. And they went, yeah, that's the take, right? It's genius. Like it sounds amazing. I love it.
Yeah, that you're right. That is exactly what it sounds like. Okay, dude, coming at number 2 for me, I'll give you little lyrics. Lazy eyes in the summer heat, fresh from out of town. Now she's working on the street, shaking poor boys down. Girl, gone, bad. This song, oh my God, I love it. I love the way this one builds, because Ed's just hitting those harmonics off the top, and Alex is doing that cymbal shit. And then about 40 seconds in, you get that Alex Van Halen drum fill. I mean, it's so cool, right?
It is, yeah.
And then it fucking kicks into high gear. I'm a sucker for Van Halen at this quicker pace. Like, I just can't resist it. And we got to mention Michael Anthony. His background vocals, well, him and Eddie, but mostly Michael, on the chorus are wicked. Like, the guy can sing like a fucking bird, man.
He can.
Right?
He's definitely a big part of their sound. And I think more than he ever got credit for.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, totally.
Lazy eyes in the summer heat, fresh from out of town. Now she's working on that street, shaking papas down. Ooh, girl, gone bad, yeah. Girl, gone bad.
Another thing I like about it is about 2:15, there's that time change. And then Eddie works his magic into another fucking wicked solo. No shit.
Yeah. That song has one of his cooler guitar solos on the album. For me, I think it's a great solo in that song.
Oh, man, I could not agree more.
I had to pick 3, but every other song on the album is an honorable mention for me, I guess.
I know, it's all so badass. I know. Picking 3's tough. It's badass. It's really, for me, you're right, that solo is killer. That aside, though, it's like a showcase for Al, I think. Like, the drumming on it is sick. My fun fact on this one is during the Diver Down tour, 82, they played a good chunk of this when they would jam out during Somebody Get Me a Doctor. If you go to the US Festival, for example.
Did they do it at the US Festival?
Yeah. So during Somebody Get Me a Doctor, Eddie ends up on the drum riser looking right at Al, and they start doing basically the main riff to this song.
And another thing, too, with the US Festival show, they actually, wasn't it right before the drum solo? They did the Hot for Teacher whole intro thing and then drum solo.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That's right. As rough as that show was, I love it.
I love that show, too.
Oh my God, I love every second of it, man.
I forgot the fucking words.
And I don't care what anybody says. There's nobody that wasted could jump off a drum kit like that. Like, you can't be out of your mind and do the splits and jump like that. Like, he couldn't have been that fucked up. It's part of the act.
Jack Daniel's iced tea. Come on.
Exactly. Is that what that midget was bringing out? Iced tea? No, don't ruin it for me.
Don't ruin it. Don't ruin it.
Okay, dude. Number 3. What do you got?
Number 3 for me is House of Pain. It's funny. This one for me is mostly the ending. I love that. It's just so cool. I love that shit. You can hum that shit all day long, and I think it's amazing. I love the whole song, but that outro part just really gets me, and I really dig it. So.
It's really cool. It's like, well, spoiler alert, it's my number 3 as well. So yeah. Well, I love that opening riff too. It's so heavy, man. It's just so cool. It's like 3 songs in one. It's one of my notes.
It is.
They keep switching, yeah. Right?
Maybe it was. Maybe they were 3 songs at once, and they just went, we'll put this here, we'll put that there. I mean, House of Pain is, again, you mentioned the demo stuff. Well, that's been on lots of those demos from way back.
Yeah, it's on the Gene Simmons demos. Yeah, absolutely.
I have that, actually. The Zero Demos bootleg on album. And
cool.
It's funny. Because you said it, now I'm going to talk about it.
Oh, go for it.
You know, to me, when I heard the Gene Simmons version of all of those songs that we heard get released on that first album, it almost sounded to me like he was trying to make them sound like a classic rock band. You know what I mean? It still sounded like Van Halen, but it just wasn't quite what we heard on the first album that they released, right?
Right. That's interesting, yeah. He couldn't get him a deal. I'll say this about Gene. He said, if I can't get you a deal, here you go. You can have the demos, and he didn't want anything. That's unusual for him. Usually he wants something. Right.
I like Ted Templeman's version much better, though.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, absolutely. What else do I have here for my notes? Oh, the lyrics again. God, Dave's lyrics are awesome. Say you're going to leave me because I only tie you up. Always love you tender, but you only like it rough. Women, where you go and why you're leaving me again. Gonna pack your bags and leave this house of pain. Like, every song, his lyrics are incredible, I think.
I'm not going to lie, I don't really pay a ton of attention to Van Halen lyrics because I'm always listening to Eddie's guitar. But when I do pay attention, yes, he's got some really good one-liners on every song usually. So
he really does. There was his word choice, everything. Yeah, I'm music first, lyrics second, always. But when it comes to Dave, I do pay attention, man, because they're just so cool, right?
Yeah, I think I need to pay attention more, is what I'm learning right now.
You really should.
I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And he wrote them all. Like, it's all him, right? Those first 6 albums, it's all him, man. I was going to ask you what your honorable mention would be, but you already told me.
Yeah, it's all of the rest.
It's all the rest of them. It's all the rest. Mine was Panama. I mean, it was right there, of course, right? Model citizen, zero discipline. There's a great line too, right? What do I have for that? It's just fun. I mean, that when you think of Van Halen, of course, is the virtuosity musically, of course, but they're just fucking fun, man. They're just a fun band.
Yeah, and it's funny. I even like the Mike McDonald song.
I do too. I mean, live, you get Eddie playing keys the whole time, which is unusual, right?
And it's funny that you said that because I read that not so long ago, and I had no idea before. He did sue them and won. I have no idea what song it was that they apparently ripped off from him, but...
Well, what happened, Jamie, was, well, from what I've read, it's really lame that they didn't give him credit. Roth was having trouble getting the vocal melody, right?
That's what it was. That's the story.
He was fighting it. And then I think the Doobies were down the hall or something like that. So, hey, well, Ted Templeman produces the Doobie Brothers. So he called Michael in and he helped them out with it, like substantially, get that vocal melody the way they wanted it. And they didn't credit him. He's like, what the fuck? He opens up the album, his name's out on it. Well, I don't know if he sued him right away, but he definitely did sue him. And then I think later pressings, his name is on it, I guess. Back to Panama. What else did I have to say about that one? I love that breakdown.
The breakdown, again, very cool.
Right? Reach down between my legs, ease the seat back, all that. Oh, man. Because it just gives it that dynamic, right? Where it goes away and then comes back. Boom.
Reach down between my legs, ease the seat back. She's lying, I'm lying, right behind it, real me now.
And see, that brings up another point for me about how much he had an effect on me playing. If you watch him, he's not really rolling down his volume knob and shit. He's doing that all with his hands. Like all that shit is just Eddie playing. That's where I learned that stuff, just picking dynamics from him. Like he was so good at that shit. And that's where I started picking up on stuff like that, was through him for sure as a guitar player. But watching him go, how does he go from, again, Hot for Teachers is another great example of that. Just goes from full on, distorted guitar sound to clean. It's just the way he picks and the way he does shit. Like maybe I'm wrong and everyone can hear this and go, that guy's a fucking idiot. Doesn't know what he's talking about. But either way, it taught me picking dynamics. So
Right.
fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you guys. Yeah, absolutely, man. It's a cliche, but it's all in the hands, right? I mean, we've all heard the stories. You could pick up Jeff Beck's guitar, play through his rig, and it's going to sound like you. It's not going to sound like Jeff. It's in the fucking hands.
It's true.
Yeah.
It is. It's true.
And Eddie's the same. There's some mojo there, man. You're just never going to get it.
We can all come very close, and some of us closer than others, but it's still, at the end of the day, it's his hands, his fingers, his whatever. Maybe the way he holds his pick differently than everyone else or whatever,
What's he uses this one, right?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Does he?
Yeah, he uses, what finger is that? The fuck you finger.
Middle?
Yeah.
It really,
Yeah.
huh? I'm exactly backwards from that. I always pick with this one and tap with this one.
Perfect. Okay, man. Let's wrap this thing up. Any final thoughts on 1984? Any final thoughts on that album as a whole?
I love it.
That's it. I love it.
It's funny. I listened to it on the way to work this morning.
Okay.
Because I knew we were going to be talking about it. I was like, you know what? I need to listen to this. And I actually listened to Van Halen all day today. It's funny because, this was almost the album where he stopped playing Marshalls. He did on the next one as well with Sammy, but this is one of those ones where he was starting to transition his sound somewhat. You know what I mean?
Yes. The brown sound wasn't as evident. Would that be correct?
Yeah, he was famous for that detuned kind of thing where it's almost like I don't want to say doubling, but I don't even know how to describe it, but all I could say is it's a detuned thing that he does with, I'm not sure if he used a harmonizer or whatever it was. There's lots of guys that explain it. I've never loved that part of his sound. I always liked the straight into the Marshall thing that he nailed that no one else can. So
No one else can, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it definitely took them to another level popularity-wise, for sure. There's a lot of flavors on the album, man. I mean, like I said, I don't love Jump, but I don't hate it by any means. I think it's a great album, man.
the Jump solo is weird because it's like he played the solo on a different tuned guitar. Because when you play it in 440, it's all like half a step down kind of thing, right?
Interesting.
It's weird.
That is weird. See, that's why you're great to have on the show. You can bring that to it, man. I would never would have known that. Hey, something I didn't mention. Back to footage around this time. Did you see that? They released that footage from Donington during the day there. Of course you saw it. How sweet is that?
Yes. Yeah, it's very, very chopped.
It's chopped, yeah. It's still fascinating to watch, though, man. It's like, wow.
I loved it. And it's funny, I discovered that because flipping through Facebook one day and somebody posted that, and I instantly ran downstairs to the big TV, brought up YouTube, and didn't move for the whole hour and whatever long it was. I was like, oh, this is fucking great.
I did the same thing. Everything stopped.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Leave Daddy alone. He's watching Van Halen. And what a bill that was. Motley, Accept, Y&T, Gary Moore, Ozzy, VH, and AC/DC. Are you kidding me? Like, what?
Yeah, that's pretty cool for sure.
Oh, my God. All right, man, that's a wrap. Thanks for joining me, Jamie. That was awesome, dude.
Thanks for having me, man.
Hey, you'll be back.
All right.
All right. Thanks to you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate taking the time to hang with us. You can find us on all the socials, or wherever podcasts are broadcast. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, kids. Do me a solid. Let us know what you think of Van Halen's 1984 in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And until next time, on behalf of Jamie and I, keep rock alive. Peace out.